What if everything you do in sales could take minutes instead of hours? Think about prospecting, outreach, research, even content creation. These are all things that traditionally take a huge amount of time, but AI is already changing that. The problem is, most people aren't actually seeing those results, not because the tools are powerful, but because they don't understand how to use them properly. So in this video, I'm going to break down how AI actually works, and more importantly, how to apply it to real sales workflows. We'll keep this simple, practical, and focused on results. What if everything you do in sales could take minutes instead of hours? Prospecting, outreach, research, content. AI is already making that possible. But most people aren't seeing results because they don't understand how to use it properly. In this video, I'm going to show you the fundamentals of AI, how it actually works, and how to apply it to real sales workflows. We are going to keep this simple, practical, and under 10 minutes. Welcome to AI for Beginners with Generative Sales Pro. And if you don't have a technical background, that's completely fine. You don't need to know how to code. You don't need to understand how these models are built. What you need to understand is how to use them. Because once you understand the structure behind AI, you can start to control the output. And that's where things start to change. Here's what most people are doing. They open ChatGPT, type something quick, get a mediocre result, and move on. No structure, no system. So they assume AI just isn't that powerful. But the reality is, they're using it at maybe 10% of what it can actually do. At its core, AI is much simpler than people think. It's just a system. You give it input, it processes that input, and then it gives you an output. That output could be an email, a list of prospects, a summary, or even a full strategy. And the most important thing to understand is this: the quality of the output depends on the quality of the input. If your input is vague, your output will be vague. If your input is structured, your output becomes useful. This is where the real shift happens. AI compresses time. What used to take hours, researching companies, writing emails, building lists, can now be done in minutes. And not just faster, but often more consistently. So instead of thinking about AI as just another tool, you should think of it as leverage. It's something that multiplies your output. And the skill that unlocks all of this is prompting. Because AI doesn't think on its own, it responds to instructions. So if your instructions are unclear, the output will be unclear. If your instructions are structured, the output becomes usable. This is where most people struggle. They're not bad at AI. They just haven't learned how to give it direction. Let's walk through a simple example. If I say, write a cold email, that's it. The AI doesn't know who it's for, what the goal is, what industry we're in, or what tone to use. So it gives you something generic. Now compare that to this. Act as a B2B sales expert. Write a 5-line email to a VP of sales at a SaaS company. The goal is to book a 15-minute call. Keep it direct, no fluff. Now the AI has context, it has direction, it has constraints. And because of that, the output becomes significantly better. Same tool, completely different result. Here's where most people get stuck. They treat AI like Google. They type one prompt, expect a perfect answer, and then stop. But AI doesn't work like that. It's iterative. You refine it, you adjust it, you guide it step by step. The best users don't just prompt once, they prompt, review, improve, and repeat. That's how you get high quality results. Now let's apply this to something real: prospecting. Traditionally, this means going through LinkedIn, searching for companies, clicking through profiles, and building lists manually. That takes a lot of time. With AI, you can define your criteria up front and generate structured outputs almost instantly. So instead of spending hours building lists, you're focusing on targeting and strategy. This is where things get really interesting. Instead of thinking in individual tasks, you start thinking in workflows. For example, first you identify companies, then you build a list, then you generate messaging. Before AI, those are three separate steps. With AI, you can connect them into a single flow, and that's when it becomes powerful. Let's make that concrete. Say you're looking for companies hiring sales leaders. AI can identify those companies, build your target list, and even help draft outreach messaging. What used to take half a day can now be done in minutes, and often with better targeting than manual work. AI also changes how you create content. Think about everything you write in sales: cold emails, follow ups, LinkedIn messages, even posts to build authority. Before AI, you would sit down and write one version. You'd spend time thinking about the wording, editing it, tweaking it, and then you'd send it and hope it worked. Now compare that to AI. You can generate multiple variations instantly: different tones, different angles, different hooks. You can test a direct version, a softer version, a curiosity driven version. And instead of guessing what works, you can actually iterate. So the advantage isn't just that AI writes content, it's that it allows you to test, refine, and improve much faster than before. And over time, that speed turns into better performance. Now let's take it a step further, because this is where AI becomes more than just a writing tool. It becomes part of your workflow. Think about how most sales processes work today. You research a company, then you write a message, then you send it, then you follow up. Each of those steps is separate. Each one takes time. With AI, you can start to connect those steps. Your research feeds directly into your messaging. Your messaging can be generated automatically. Your follow ups can be structured in advance. So instead of doing everything manually, you're building a system that supports you. And that leads to three things: less manual work, more consistent output, and the ability to scale your efforts without increasing your time. And here's where this becomes really valuable. Once you have this set up, you're not starting from scratch every time. You're reusing the same structure, the same workflow. So every time you run it, you get faster, you get more consistent, and you remove a lot of the friction that normally slows reps down. And this is where things are going next: AI agents. Up until now, we've been talking about AI as something you interact with. You ask, it responds. But agents take it a step further. They don't just respond, they act. They can go out and find leads based on criteria. They can generate outreach based on real signals. And in some cases, they can even execute parts of the workflow for you. So instead of thinking about AI as a tool you use, you start thinking about it as something that works alongside you. And over time, that shift is going to change how sales teams operate entirely. And even if you're not using full agents yet, this is still important to understand because the direction is clear. We're moving from manual work to assisted work to automated work. And the earlier you understand that shift, the easier it is to stay ahead of it. This is where a gap starts to form. On one side, you have people using AI casually. They write a few prompts, get some outputs, and move on. On the other side, you have people building systems. They have structured prompts, repeatable workflows, processes they can rely on. And even though both groups are using the same tools, they're getting completely different results. And the important thing to understand is that gap doesn't stay the same. It grows because systems compound and casual usage doesn't. Let me make this even more practical. Let's say you're reaching out to a VP of sales. Instead of writing one email, you can ask AI to generate 5 different approaches: one focused on ROI, one focused on pain points, one focused on a recent trigger event, one more conversational, one more direct. Now, instead of guessing what works, you're testing what works. And over time, that compounds into better response rates and more pipeline. So, if you want to be on the right side of that, you need more than just access to tools. You need a way to actually use them. That's why we put together the AI Sales Toolkit. It includes the tools, the prompts, and the workflows you need to apply this immediately. Not theory, not fluff, just what works. You can get it for free at generativesalespro.com and start turning AI into something that actually drives results in your sales process.